This is Venus flytrap care. These are some tips and things you should do to have your flytrap grow to its best ability and have a longer lifespan. So, traps, Venus flytraps, come in all different species, and the similarity between these species is they all require very similar care to live. And it's simple when you break it down to 3 points. They need correct substrate, also known as media, light, and water. So, good water to use is water with the least mineral that you could ever get. So, this could be rainwater or distilled water, and any other water that you know that is very little mineral, because flytraps have very small roots that aren't made to collect mineral and they aren't good with fertilizer or any of that, because these roots are mainly just for holding the plant upright and getting water. The traps are what get all the food. Roots don't get the food. So, water, use distilled rainwater, not tap water. Get something with the least mineral possible. So with soil, a lot of people use peat moss, which is what I have, or soil that is just empty, no fertilizer, no any of that. I have that down here. And again, the reason you don't want soil with anything in it is because these roots can't handle it. So peat moss, the little perlite stones, any of that can be used. I highly recommend peat or sphagnum because it holds a lot of the moisture and it's very good with holding the plants and keeping the humidity levels right. I use that for all of my carnivorous plants. The last thing I'm going to say before I summarize this is the sun or light that you provide for your traps. The most sunlight possible would be the best. 4 hours of direct and total of 12 hours sunlight. I like to use just sunlight outside, but if the temperatures are not right outside for your trap, you can use UVB or some lights inside that are specific for the plants, such as UVB. So, I think the best thing, honestly, is to use the sunlight. If the temperatures aren't right outside, you can just try putting your traps by the south window. So when I say this, I mean the window that is pointing south. So if you put your traps by the south window, they'll get the most sunlight that they need, and everything will be good. You won't need to buy any of those expensive lights. And like I said, most sunlight you can get. They need 12 hours of sunlight. Whether, like me, you use sunlight from outside, or if you use your light bulbs, UVB and all that, it's important that you get 12 hours overall and 4 hours of direct. These guys need a lot of sunlight, and a lot of people think that they are very tropical, but they're not very tropical. So it's fine if you keep them out on maybe a drier day. Just make sure you mist them extra well and make sure that they're not too dry. Because although these aren't tropical plants, they aren't desert plants. So keep them well humided. So to finish this off, I'm going to explain the key points I'm trying to come across through all these words I'm jumbling at you. The first thing I'm trying to get across is you need to use a good media. Remember, media is also a word for substrate. So using peat moss, sphagnum moss, or a perlite mix work well. When I say you can use perlite, I don't mean you can just use plain perlite. You need to add and mix sphagnum moss and some good, very empty soil, so then your plant isn't living in rocks, because they can't do that. So remember, when I say perlite, I mean a mix of soil and moss. I think that peat and sphagnum are some of the best, but as long as you choose to mix using these three things, it's good. Just remember, you cannot keep perlite just alone, but you can keep moss alone. But it's always good to mix them. Remember, no fertilizer or high in mineral soil. These guys, their roots aren't made for that. The second thing I'm trying to get across is you need to use a low mineral water source. Using rainwater or distilled water is good for the traps, and you don't want anything that is high in mineral. Remember, when watering these guys, do a nice mist or drizzle from the top of the plant. The third point is you need sunlight, and a lot of it. 12 hours of sunlight or artificial lighting, including 4 hours of direct sun. When I say artificial lighting, I don't mean some light bulbs in your house. There's a specific light bulb that you need, which can be pricey. If you live in an area where the temperature is right, meaning at the high it'll get 72 degrees Fahrenheit, low 65, then you're good. The highest temperature to give a Venus flytrap is around 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't give anything higher than that, and don't give anything below 65 degrees. These guys do the best without that, and if it's too cold, they will go dormant. If they go dormant and it's not the winter, well, it can be bad. So, make sure you give them sunlight, a lot of it, and use the correct source. So remember these 3 points, and you'll be pretty good at taking care of your traps. If you want to know anything else about dormancy or feeding your traps, here's some videos to watch. Well, thanks for watching, and good luck with your traps.